What would be the hardest thing to explain to an alien? Why electricity doesn't pour out of the socket when nothing is plugged in? You think aliens got all the way to Earth without any knowledge of physics electricity? Well, first they built a giant ballista. But that's not that hard. Essentially you just need something that can make electrons jump from the socket to, in this case, something that gets plugged in, which will close the circuit. That can also, unfortunately, be something made out of metal, like a metal fork, as those are often great conductors and the electrons will jump from the socket to the metal fork to your body, since we attract electricity. Basically, you just need something to be close enough that can cause the reaction to take place and close the circuit. If you stick a piece of paper in a socket, nothing will happen. If you don't plug something in properly, as in, it isn't in the socket completely, it often won't work. I think species intelligent enough to build a spaceship and travel probably well over a couple thousand of light years could grasp the fairly basic understandings of physics. Our planet's relationship with cats. So do they help in any way like the dogs do? No, they just look fun and sometimes ask for pets. Bonus, my cat is super mean to us and likes to destroy things when we don't feed him as soon as we wake up, so explaining him would be even more confusing. Alien, so he broke 3 glasses and a plate. How are you going to punish him? Me, by feeding him. Cats were domesticated to protect grain supplies from rodents. They are still useful as pest control. I've read that at one point they were considered evil and were being culled, which led to a population boom for rodents and an outbreak of plague resulting in a shitload of deaths. So yes, they do help like dogs do. The one time my cat saw a mouse, he ran and hid under an end table. Meanwhile, he'd attack full-grown humans when he was feeling bored. R.I.P. Snowball, you were useless at vermin control but a great friend. There are imaginary lines dividing up the earth. Although no one can actually see or feel these lines, they are extremely powerful. They divide the earthlings. They determine how resources are allocated. They often control how earthlings communicate with one another, how they worship deities, how they dress, and how they treat one another. We take pride in killing over these imaginary lines. The lines have not been in the same place throughout history. Changes often result from deadly battles, or sometimes occur peacefully through exchange of whatever is considered valuable at the time. Earthlings generally agree that most of the lines are in the right place at any given time, even though the lines are not where they have always been, or where they will always be. Few want the consequences of changing the lines. IDK about this one. Territories are seen in all types of animals, so I feel like they would know. If they were peaceful aliens, then it'd be pretty awkward to explain all the films that depict them invading and enslaving us. I'd suspect that aliens would have similar cultural references. You're assuming the aliens are even going to be vaguely similar to us in terms of, well, everything. It makes sense though that they would have similar backgrounds. As for attaining resources, any civilization advanced enough to traverse the stars should be sufficiently advanced enough to be able to readily plunder any given solar system's resources without needing to enslave and counter a pre-light speed warp drive civ. Which means that they decide if they will engage with a lower tech civ, and if they engage it would stand to reason they do so with a desire to engage in a less than hostile platform. When you suspect, you make a sus out of pain court. Our version of aliens. Imagine explaining the movie Aliens, Alf, American Dad, the movie Signs, the movie Arrival, etc. are what we call aliens. I loved Arrival and it's true, your language does shape the way you think. IDK about seeing through time, after taking a Duolingo course in alien languages but still neat. Typo. It's true, your language does shape the way you think. Scientifically proven. You'd ruffle more than a few linguists' feathers if you said the extent Arrival took it was true. I'm bilingual, and you can see with certain word uses there is definitely a different perspective taking place. Like the verb ganar in Spanish means to win. It's also used as slang for how much money you make. Similar, yet different on a certain level. That our money only has value because we say it does. There's a sci-fi story where the aliens don't want to trade physical things, they want to trade concepts. Like, paint. What is paint? How is it made? Why is it used? And in exchange, we get total knowledge of some alien concept. Seems like we wouldn't get much in return when they discover the internet. See, that's when we don't tell them about the internet. Well, the book was written way before internet. Isaac Asimov, Nothing for Nothing, in the collection of short stories entitled The Winds of Change and Other Stories. The aliens trade the concept of art for the concept of the bow and arrow with primitive man, and then question how dangerous they just made our species. That we drink water and eat salt, but we can't drink the salt water that covers 2/3 of our planet, but we can in emergencies, if we use fire. Boiling salt water doesn't get rid of the salt. Collecting the steam does though. True, but that takes a bit more of an apparatus than just fire. You just drink it later, when it comes down as rain. It's basic wombology. Yeah, come on, it's first grade. A sheet of cloth just above the boiling salt water, placed at an angle, so that the steam condenses then flows down the cloth into another container. Just another container, some cloth, and some cleverly placed twigs. Even though we often portray aliens in fiction as the villains, Daleks, xenomorphs, etc., we have nothing personal against aliens. I mean, isn't the Doctor an alien too? Matt Smith maybe. The rest all come across as human looking and human acting. Yeah, but they're all literally alien. Then why does the Ninth Doctor speak with a northern accent? I mean, we could probably just explain it as a fear of the unknown, combined with a lack of knowledge about space. We have nothing against fish, but still have horror stories about monsters in the ocean. Why our breathing tubes are right next to our eating tubes. Why would that be hard to explain? They wouldn't even ask us to explain it. They would probably be much better at comprehending evolution, and could probably explain it to us better than we could. Our breathing tube is our eating tube. XD wouldn't have to explain that one though, cause I guess aliens would understand evolution. You breathe through your esophagus? Alien talk about breathing tube, and eating tub beans the same. Look at us, our waste removal system is attached to our hearing. That some people think our earth is flat. Well, we just approached from outer space and 10. How come da liquid doesn't fall of 10? I had to read this very slowly. You are now a flat earther. Sorry dude, I didn't get here quick enough to stop you. Liquid is what really held me up. Oh well, guess it could be worse. I could be a Browns fan. Well, no, we figured it out from Earth. It's just some of us have been kind of. That we have people that think vaccines cause autism. Wow, take my karma fellow anti-vaxxer, how profound. Thank kind anti-vaxxer. Wow, I said something about how people were just beating a dead horse about anti-vaxxers for karma, and got like 50 down votes. No one, absolutely no one. Reddit is extreme stuffing sounds of trying to shoehorn in anti-vaxxing, flat earthers, and MLM into every thread. If the aliens happen to be radially symmetrical, like the starfish, we'd have a real hard time explaining left and right. The concepts of left and right exist because we're symmetrical over an axis, and even then, the only way to distinguish between the two is literally to point to your left and say this is my left, and point to your right and say this is my right. If you're radially symmetrical, left and right cease to have meaning. This stuff goes in our face hole, and it gives us energy, but we don't use all the parts. The leftovers come out of our bottom end and are very unattractive. Unless the aliens have been bioengineered for 100% digestive efficiency, I think they understand the concept of pooping. That we have abensacable want to fight one another, maybe not you or me, but look at the wars in history. Also explaining how rhymes work. Any species that developed a society probably also passed through periods of maths in fighting. Were you going for insatiable there? Possibly everything. Do they see in the same spectrum? Can they hear? Do they have a spoken language? Establishing any basis for communication would take a long time. Arrival probably gives the best idea of what the first few years would be like. Why Ross, being the largest friend, does not simply eat the others. We are clearly saving it for sweeps. Duh. That is a pretty obscure reference, my friend. Well done for making me laugh. And well done to me for getting it. Why we want Waluigi and Smash so badly. I thought I read why we want to smash Waluigi so badly. That won't be difficult to explain at all. I feel like that'd be the easiest thing to explain though. That only a few people are able to be focusing on science and researching innovations to benefit our species, because most of the people which have the power and money are spending their time squabbling with each other over petty things. How people like Cardi B and Kim K because famous. Joe Rogan has a bit on Kim K and aliens, very funny. Finally, one that I can't explain. Depression, assuming it's not universal. I can't even explain it to other people. Not even our own health system understands what's going on, or how to properly treat it. I have a device in my pocket that gives me unlimited access to all the knowledge known to mankind and the ability to immediately talk to people all over the world. I use it for memes. Anything. Language is likely unrecognizable to either species. They probably had their best linguists analyzing our broadcasts before they made contact. Everyone has a cellular phone, but will become quite angry if you ever actually call them on it. It's not even a cell phone anymore, it's a portable computer with a phone in it. Why we pronounce Arkansas, and why people don't vaccinate their kids. Wait until they get to England, with Leicestershire and Worcestershire etc. I always thought it would be music, like we enjoy listening to these rhythmic sound clips. And everyone enjoys something different for seemingly no reason. So despite the fact that waste comes out of that orifice, some people willingly put their mouths on it to please the person receiving this treatment and themselves. The fact that you turn on the radio and a single dreaded word comes out of an infomercial #fortnight. That could take around 2 weeks. The fact that we can combine a metal that explodes when it gets wet and a gas that melts our skin and get something we can eat. That the majority of humankind likes touching certain part of their own bodies, but doing so in public with others is strictly banned.